overnight reindeer rolls.
Let's see what's cooking. It's time for yoyomax12.
Hello everyone, starting off with 1.5 cups of warm water between 110 and 115 degrees Fahrenheit. Add in 2 envelopes of instant active dry yeast. That's 4.5 teaspoons if you're using it from the jar like I did. Stir it until dissolved. Then in a large bowl, place 2 eggs, 1/2 cup of white granulated sugar, and 2 teaspoons of salt. Then you'll pour in the yeast and water mixture. Then add 1/2 cup of butter that's been softened. Mine was rock hard from the refrigerator, so I put it in the microwave to soften up a bit, and I kind of overheated it and it melted a little, but that was okay. Then you're going to add in 3 cups of flour. Just add it all in there all at once. Blend it until it's nice and smooth. And at this point I switched to a dough hook on my mixer just because it would be easier on the mixer. Then you're going to continue to add flour a little bit at a time, up to about 6¼ cups of flour. I used about 6 cups. What you're going to do is add enough flour so that you get a very soft dough that will still be sticky. And turn your mixer down when you add the flour so it doesn't fly all over like I just did. And you'll find that the dough will pull away from the sides of the bowl and kind of stick to that dough hook. And afterwards you can see kind of the texture here. It's a dough, soft dough, but it's still sticky when you touch it. Cover it up, put it in the refrigerator overnight. And the next morning you can make your reindeer rolls. I cut the dough ball into 16 pieces. You can make them smaller if you'd like, but I found that at 16 pieces it made a really nice sized reindeer roll. Take each of those dough portions, roll it out into a log shaped on a lightly floured counter surface until it's about 5 inches long. Then slice down the center of the log to about the halfway point, and those 2 pieces that you cut will be the antlers. The other portion is the head, so that portion you're going to flatten and round out to make the head of the reindeer. Now for the antlers, take a pair of kitchen scissors and just make 3 snips on the outside edge of those pieces of dough to make the antlers. Cut about 3/4 of the way through. Now to shape this a little bit, I pinched the sides a bit at the top of the head to make some ears, and I bent the antlers inward to make them kind of rounded. And I also spread out the antler shapes a lot wider afterwards. Cover with a dish towel and let rise in a warm place until doubled in size, and takes about 30 minutes to an hour depending how warm your kitchen is. So you can see how they're a lot fatter and a lot bigger. Then you brush them with an egg wash, which is 1 egg that's been beaten with 2 teaspoons of water. Now you'll also notice how I opened up those antlers to a very, very wide V shape. This particular cookie sheet has, I think, my 3rd batch, because I couldn't bake them all at once because there were so many of them. The first couple of batches didn't turn out so great, and I kind of learned through trial and error the best thing to do with these rolls. So make sure you have lots of room on your cookie sheet in between each one, and separate those antlers so they're quite wide. Now for the little red nose, I'm using half cherries. These are those candied glacé cherries. Okay, now for eyes, I tried a few different things. I think the best thing to use would be dark colored raisins, but all I had were the sultanas in my house that day, which are those light golden raisins, which aren't the best. So I used these little black gumdrops, which I think are actually sold as baking gums. Now you can see these particular reindeers. This is my first batch. The log shape I made, I didn't roll it out to 5 inches. I only left it at about 3 inches. So when they rose, they got really fat looking, and the antlers are also too big. Now once you've put in everything you need, you're going to bake these at 350 degrees for about 10-15 minutes until they are golden brown all over. And I also tried jelly beans for eyes. And some of them I put in prior to baking, and this is how those turned out. So as you can see, the black jelly beans melted during the baking process, so it made it look like the reindeer was crying and wasn't wearing waterproof mascara. So a good solution for that is, if you want to use the jelly beans, bake your reindeer rolls without eyes. Just don't put any eyes in them, and after they're done baking, just press in a couple of jelly beans after the fact, and then they look great. Now those little baking gumdrops that I used held up really well in the heat. They didn't melt at all, and they ended up looking pretty good afterwards. There are the first batch of reindeer that I made that ended up looking like bunnies with kind of shaggy ears. Still cute, but nothing like reindeer. So here was the second or third batch. These ones turned out pretty good. They actually do look like reindeer. So the secret to these is to make sure that log shape that you roll out is at least 5 to 6 inches long, and that the V shape that you make with the antlers is quite wide, wider than you think you'll need, because that dough rises when it's baking. Now the bread itself turned out quite nice. It's very, very light and airy inside. It wasn't heavy. It is not a sweet tasting bread. This tastes just like white bread inside. Even though there's a half a cup of sugar added to this, it wasn't overly sweet. One thing that I had to do though is I used these for breakfast. I sliced them in two with some butter and toasted them. I ended up having to take the gumdrops out and the candy nose and put it aside because it doesn't really go that great with eggs if you're using it as toast for breakfast in the morning. Also, this bread gets stale really quick, just like most homemade bread does, so eat it the same day or the next day. Now, if you're looking for more Christmas themed things, I've got quite a few on my channel. What I've done is I put all of my Christmas videos together in one big playlist. If you want to see that playlist, go ahead and click right on your screen or see the link in the description box. I've also subdivided them into smaller playlists. Like, for example, I have a Christmas cookie playlist, a Christmas cupcake playlist, and I even have an edible Christmas craft playlist and Christmas tree ornaments. So go ahead and check out those links in the description box as well. Thanks for watching.